So yeah, you're still getting Riley Foster's going to be suspended for one game. What was sort of the initial reaction to that, and what sort of the feedback you've been able to get from, I guess, either the referee's boss or from the match review panel?
Yeah, look, I think club overall was like most people sitting in the crowd on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, disbelief. The problem with these particular type of incidents, once the referee issues a red card, particularly for a foul or an off-the-ball incident, it's very difficult to get them overturned, to get on appeal. It's a very high threshold. They talk about, would a referee anywhere in the world have issued a yellow card? And if they would have issued a yellow card, then it sticks. So it's very, very difficult. So really you're then looking at what does the MRP come back with, and at the same time while we were waiting for that we were, okay, let's get the footage, let's get the referee report so we can assess it properly, and had a phone call yesterday afternoon from Football Australia, and they said that the MRP had downgraded it from obviously what would probably be violent assault to whatever they categorised it, which was only a one-game suspension rather than looking at two. So I think once the red card had been issued and there was a movement of the arm there, we were probably, that was the best outcome we could hope for.
Has there been any admission from the referees or anything like that hey, we did get this one wrong?
Look, we haven't. We spoke to Nathan Gill yesterday at Football Australia. At that point, they hadn't reviewed that particular incident, and we're still waiting on feedback from that. I think the fact that the MRP have come back with what they've come back is an indication that it was probably soft and not a red card.
Because I know after the game, Paul Temple said, he's quite critical of just the state of referees in the league. Has there been any blowback on those comments at all?
No, when we spoke to Nathan yesterday, he questioned us about a couple of the comments, and I went back and looked at Paul's interview. I don't think he said anything that was unjust. No one's calling for male refs to be in the female game or vice versa. People just want the best refs, right? There's a lot of development that's still going on with the female game, and referees are part of that, right? So all we can do now is keep working together with Football Australia, with APL and the clubs to do the best we can. When we met with Nathan during the Unite round in Sydney, we talked about various things like getting referees to training and having them do some stuff in games, etc., etc. So it's now just about continuing the process of education and development. That's all we can do.
Just one from me is, what was Riley's reaction to hearing it's just going to be one game?
Look, she's gutted. She's really disappointed. As a player, when you feel that you've had a red card unjustifiably, whatever the suspension is still a kick in the teeth. It's only us old guys that have been around for years and years and years and seen how these processes work that we sort of now look at it and you got to take this one and you got to wear it, and we move on. But look, we raised with Sam Chadwick at Football Australia. We think the MRP process needs to have a review. We talked about it after the Tim Payne incident where he received two-game suspension. Now we have VAR, we have yellow cards that are being upgraded to red. Is that really a two-game suspension when the referee in the moment has said it's only a yellow, and now VAR are getting in the middle? And also, with some of these decisions now, we think MRP probably needs an expanded power to be able to say, actually, that's not a red card. We've got referees on these committees, etc. That's only a yellow card. So I think that'll be hopefully part of the off-season discussion as we look to new disciplinary regs and what we can do in that space.
Can I ask one more too? Because is there an element, do you feel that like a red card in a game is just enough punishment in some of those scenarios? Like say with the Tim Payne one that, he's got the guy on the ankle, but he was going for the ball. A red card is enough. It's when you start adding games on top of that it becomes a bit unfair.
Yeah, look, we were probably a little disappointed it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks again is a tough one to appeal. 3 weeks, you can have a little bit of leeway there. I particularly think in that instance where it is a yellow card in the game, it's then upgraded by VAR. It's no more than a week. That seemed harsh.
Just one more on this from Bonnie Jensen. NZME as well. Should the ALeague be rethinking VAR in the women's game?
Look, there's been some discussion about VAR light. Ultimately, it's not just APL, right? This is Football Australia. They're the ones that regulate the league. So there's a number of parties that need to be discussing this. Cost is obviously a factor as well, and it's tough times, is well documented at the moment, right? So I think we'd all love to see it, but we have to be able to walk before we can run.
Cool, and just on the new signing, Houston Salas, maybe one for you, David. It sounds like that, the club's sort of saying, the team's doing so well that, let's see if we can win the A-League now, and a big part of that is sort of maybe changing your thinking from the start of the season, where it was like, okay, we're going to be young, squad full of academy players. At what point did you sort of make that change?
We always kept the option open to add a fifth visa player during the season. It was always in the strategy from the start of the season to keep that last space open, depending on how the team was going. Chiefy's done an unbelievable job in coaching the team, and the players have been, as you've seen from the results, have been magnificent. Highly resilient team, great culture amongst the players and the coaching staff. So they've done a great job, and it's the owners, credit to them, don't want to die wondering, and they've invested a significant amount of money outside budget. So this is not a budget that we had sitting lying around. This is new money that's been introduced to the club, and is going to go straight towards, hopefully a really strong finals push. And so the call has gone out. The owners are backing the club now to get into the finals, and we're asking the football fans and the sporting fans of Wellington to get in behind the club. A lot like they did at the victory game, where it was over a 9,000 crowd, which was a very, very good crowd, and really did spur on that team to get a precious point in their match.
And Shaun, there was some talk, I remember, in pre-season that this player was linked with the club. So can you just talk about, was he someone who was on the radar then, what sort of changed then, and how it's sort of come to sign him now?
Yeah, he's obviously been on Chiefs' radar for half a year now. Come through an agent that we respect and have done some stuff with previously. At the time, in the off season, it was felt that wasn't quite what we wanted with what we had. But obviously now with the owners agreeing to some extra investment, he is what we think a perfect player to come into this window and add some real sort of steel and depth to the group.
David, I think a question maybe for you, but how quickly was this turnaround for this? Like, when did you make the decision to sign Justine?
We continue to evaluate the squad throughout the season as we go along, and how the performances are going, and where the holes are, and what we need to improve. And I think probably in December we started talking about whether we could bring another player in the window. And this, like they were talking about, Chiefy's been looking at him for a while, and we think he adds a little bit of X factor. He's a Costa Rican player. You don't play over 200 games in the top level at Costa Rica, in the best club in Costa Rica, and play for the Costa Rican national team at the World Cup. And slug. So he'll add something to the squad, no doubt about that. So we're pretty excited. He's going to come in here and just be a little bit of X factor and really push us on to the finals.
So it's my understanding it's a loan, but with an option to buy. Is that correct?
It's a loan for the rest of this season, but both parties are open to looking at it for next season.
And what was the negotiation like with Justine? How did that sort of go along? With quite a smooth process?
That's your question.
Yeah, look, it was relatively straightforward. Once we made the decision that Justine was the one that we wanted to bring in, we spoke with the agent, and it was a pretty simple process. There was not a lot of it was no real negotiation. We said what we had available. It fitted with what they had, and Saprissa have been fantastic to deal with all the way through as well. Really amazing, actually. The process now to actually get him here is probably the harder process with ITCs and visas, etc. And so far, every dealing we've had with Saprissa has been incredible. And
when is he going to be available?
So good question. So visa application went in on Monday. That was the first chance we had to get it in. So now that gets assessed, and we're sort of in the hands of New Zealand Immigration. Hopefully, based on prior history, maybe early next week if we're lucky. And then obviously we've got to get him from Costa Rica to here, which is no easy feat. Through the States, I'm assuming. So, we could be looking at 10 to 14 days before he gets in the country. And he's coming with his wife and 2 young children as well. So we've got that visa application process to go through. Potentially he may have to travel before them, if his visa comes through quickly. So yeah, we've all got our fingers crossed that it's going to be a quick process.
A few weeks ago, we talked to Chief about some of the re-signings or players that are coming off contract, and he sort of said, maybe with Costa and Oscar, it might be a case of just being able to keep one of them. It's pretty obvious that Oscar could go back to Europe if he needed to. Is that sort of the sense that you may only be able to keep one of them? What's sort of the latest you can go with there?
Oh, look, I think it's we're only January, right? We've still got another 4 or 5 months to go of the contract cycle. We've got the rest of the season to play out. Those conversations internally are going on all the time around what does it look like for next year? How does the budget look? How does recruitment go in line with budget? I think when you have a successful start to the season like we have, then those players do have more interest, and then it becomes a bit of a different discussion what it might need to look like. So there's no yes or no here at the moment. It's ongoing dialogue and discussion internally and with the players.
Because do you think you would have the budget to be able to keep hold of both of them?
Who knows? Who knows? Right? Let's see how the rest of this, the next couple of months plays out.
That game on Friday night against Melbourne Victory, it was the first game where we were in the black at Sky Stadium for over 2 seasons. So it makes a huge amount of difference, and the difference between a 5,000 and 9,000 crowd for us, the bottom line, is huge. So it does allow us to sign players, potentially re-sign players or sign players that are higher quality. And that's what the owners are asking for. We bring in a player like Salas from Costa Rica, and then we push on to the finals, and we get a couple of really good crowds like that, and it's a game changer. It's a massive game changer for this club.
25, 30, 35,000, eh? Perfect. Sky Stadium. Come on.
Honestly, a 25,000, 30,000 crowd would fund this club for a year. Yeah. That's the reality. You get close to a sellout for Sky Stadium for Wellington Phoenix, it funds the club for a year. Makes a massive difference.
Yeah, can I ask about that Waitangi Day game then? Is that one where you think you could get quite a good crowd? It's quite an interesting, one playing an afternoon on public holiday.
Well, and I think, so it's we thought that we might struggle over the Christmas period, but both the 23 December and the early January games were both very, very good for us. Especially the Melbourne Victory game. But this is one versus last year's champions. I mean, it's a pretty tasty game. We're hoping that on a holiday weekend that there'll be families around that'll want to come out and see it, and it's a decent time. It's a good family-friendly time. The weather should be good. Traditionally, it's good this time of year in Wellington. And a good crowd there make a huge amount of difference. A huge amount of difference. Not for the bottom line, but also for what it does for the players. And the players will tell you, and they'll continue to tell you that a big crowd makes such a big difference to the on field. What's it like to play for the Phoenix on the field?
Yeah, the players and staff were talking about they're feeling like an 18,000 crowd on the weekend. Yellow Fever are unbelievable, right? And those that come in as well that are not Yellow Fever and make the noise with the Yellow Fever, it's a special place when the noise is like that.